Happy
Welcome to.
birthday, Eiji!
Thank you. Thank you.
40. The big
40.
40,
Yeah,
mate.
I know. I don't look
These,
like it though. Lucky,
no,
lucky I got Asian
yeah,
genes.
lucky you're Asian, because you're actually 65, but don't look a day over 12, so you're doing well, mate.
Yeah, I shaved actually, so should look a bit younger.
Yeah, I'm midweek and I don't shave in the middle of the week because I'm lazy. I save it till Sundays.
Okay, well, welcome to the Clutch Kick. I'm my new host EG, and my co-host is Greg
Floating,
Merriman.
floating in the middle of your door.
Okay, so over that way somewhere.
Yeah, you just put your hand on my bum. Like, I'm not sure that's okay.
No, it's all right.
Not sure how I feel about that.
Ah, you don't get a choice.
Yeah, I'm a privileged white male, so you're allowed to do that to me.
So
Well, I guess
this week,
yeah, I guess a bit of an update. Last week I was feeling not that great, and this week EG's not doing so great. So that's why we've been a bit laxed on trying to get a guest because I think we're a bit all over the place whether or not this one was even going to happen. So EG's slowly dying, so he might disappear at some stage and fall under
yeah,
his
if I just
desk. And
suddenly fall asleep, then
yeah, hopefully somebody's watching who knows your address and they can call an ambulance or something. So
no, I'll be alright. I just go to sleep.
all right, that's
That's
all
all.
right then.
Yeah, yeah, I'll wake up later. Just the dog's licking my face or something.
Humping your face.
No, they're female, so
Whatever. You got
okay,
got lots of bitches in the house.
that's right. Okay, so normally we start off with some news.
I think the whole
So
episode's just gonna be news.
so last weekend was a few events.
Yeah,
Um, I guess the most relevant to us at the moment was D1NZ,
yeah. D1NZ season wrapped up.
the
Uh,
final.
yeah, last round, 5 rounds, but it seemed to go really quickly. But I think the fact they had it
Yeah,
sort of split over the end of last year and into early this year, it all seemed to sort of come and go really, really quickly. But
it
Darren,
was quick.
but Darren Kelly ended up taking the championship fairly comfortably over Adam Davies, and then Fanger Dan in third. But Darren seemed to do it fairly comfortably over the course of the season. I think the only other person who was really gonna put it to him was Cole Armstrong, but Cole ended up with car drummers all through the year, and Adam Davies ended up um, having a really, I think, consistent season as well. Sadly for Matty Hill, he would have one good event, one shitty event, one good event, one shitty event, and sadly he had two not so great events to finish off the season, and that dropped him right back down the championship. I think he had finished on the podium last season, but this season he ended up dropping fairly far down. Ended up in seventh,
Wow.
which is a bit of a shame considering he had the two podium finishes. But yeah, when he wasn't on the podium, sadly, he wasn't having a great run. But he's got FD Japan starting up really soon. I think in the next couple of weeks,
Couple
actually.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. His car over in Japan looks like it was out being tested by a Japanese local. Just getting a shakedown at one of the smaller Japanese tracks. It wasn't out at Ebisu, it was out somewhere else. I know the track from
Um,
Assetto Corsa, but um,
which one are you talking
did
about?
you not see the video?
Ikawa.
Maybe,
It's the one in Nagoya, like
maybe
way. It's like
it's
700 k's away or something.
yeah, it's like a hairpin. It's like a foresty sort of area, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do the like
That's
nice sort of Byoku
it's
sort of
not.
first corner, and then it
Pretty sure it's not that close to Ebisu where the cars are stored.
yeah. But I'm not even sure where first round of
Um,
FD Japan is.
Suzuka Twin. I
Oh,
think it's Suzuka Twin, which is near Nagoya. It's actually really
yeah.
close
Okay, so that's
to
so I would imagine.
Ikawa. That's probably why it's out there.
Yeah, so they've started moving the car up closer. Uh, but yeah, that was out testing. Actually, when I saw the video, I was like, oh, that's one of my favorite tracks to drive on on a set of courses, so it was cool to see that car out there. But a shame it wasn't Maddie there. But they also recently had their sideways experience, their most recent one. So I would imagine that he was in the middle of that while the car was being moved up towards round one of Japan, and then the week after Japan is the first round of Korea, and I think most people have sort of forgotten that FD Korea is taking place. So it'll be interesting to see if how much media and all
Hmm.
that comes out of that, because I think that track is brand new. So I'm excited to see it, to see if it's actually any good or if we're sort of dealing with a.
It's not a drift track, is it? It's just like a normal circuit that's new.
Yeah, I think it's just a new circuit. Um, so
Do you know who's running that?
I th- I don't know. I would imagine it's an organization, but I think this first season FD is heavily involved.
Yeah, because with FT Japan, it was there was
Yeah,
already
yeah.
an existing group, and
MCR or whatever it was.
M-
Or
MSC,
yeah. Um,
and then they put the FD Japan
and it's still those
signage,
guys, and it's still the
logo,
yeah, it's still those
branding.
guys running FD Japan as well.
Yeah.
Just using the licensing the name and using their resources, but it seems like the smartest way to go with it. So
If to actually go bigger, yeah, I think so because you've got all that FD pull.
yeah, well, it's just less stress
'Cause-
too. You get the experts to come in and help you. Well, like the experts are, yes, okay, you might not love the form of drifting that they create, but you're getting the experts who know how to run an event and make an event work. So, um,
yeah,
and
I think it's more of that um, audience, the target. So because MSC, I've been to the MSC events and yeah, they ran fine. I didn't see any
yeah,
issues,
but yeah,
any sort of difficulty.
but
But
running at that sort of level,
they weren't sort of like televised or they weren't
yeah,
like international, I guess you'd say. They were just like a Japan only kind
yeah.
of thing. They really only focused on Japanese.
Um, so yeah,
So
Maddie's got that first round coming up. Not so. What is it? 2.5 weeks from today. So the 18th and 19th at Suzuka Twin is first round of FD Japan.
is is he going to do something crazy like fly the car from Japan to Korea and compete in Korea as well?
I don't think so. I think the focus is on Japan. I think if he was to show up in Korea, he'd probably end up doing really well. It'll be interesting to see with Korea what sort of entry list, and if there's some people sort of
Yeah.
trying to sneak in there to just try and walk all over um, the Koreans. So um,
There's no competitors list, is there?
nah, not at this stage.
Okay,
Um,
because I imagine some Japanese might go over to see if they can sort of get a good result and then use that as leverage for sponsorship.
yeah, potentially. You'd need two cars to do it though. Um, while we're speaking about international stuff, and this is completely off topic, have you seen Chris Forsberg's Corvette that he's going to be driving in China?
No,
Like
no.
they're like yeah,
This is different to the FD one.
no, Chris Forsberg, the guy who drives all the Nissan stuff.
Oh no, not Matt Field.
No,
Sorry,
not
I
Matt
think.
Field. Yeah, Chris
Yeah,
Forsberg. And it's actually being built.
yeah.
It's actually being built in China, which is unusual.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, by by Chinese people. They haven't actually brought people in. Like that's like yeah, super unusual. So I would imagine that means that they're probably fairly highly skilled guys, because I can't imagine there's a huge pool of fabricators for that sort of stuff and all that. But I'm pretty
It's
sure it's
China. It's like where 90% of the world is made is China.
yeah, is made, but like it's all sort of processed stuff being made as opposed to one-off pieces. So um, I think they're using from my understanding, using the aluminium frame one, not a steel framed Corvette. And
Is it a sponsored drive or is he
yeah, I think
actually
so.
getting it?
No, no,
So
no,
he's
no,
just a
no, no.
driver.
Yeah, yeah, he's just the driver of it.
Okay.
And using all HGK carbon Kevlar parts and all this sort of stuff. So I think it's going to end up, because I don't think they carry the weight classes like they do in FD for um, D1 China. That's going to be like one of the lightest Corvette drift cars or the lightest Corvette drift car that's been built so far. So it'll just be super interesting to see him in that and see how competitive he is, considering he probably drives one of the heaviest Nissans that exists. So Um, yeah, it's that one excites me, and the fact that he's done so well at the first two rounds of
FD.
FD US as well.
Yeah.
So now put him in a chassis that's even better than what he's driving. Provided it stays, stays together. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Hopefully, D1 China gets a good amount of coverage. The events keep getting more and more crazy, but it doesn't seem to get all that much airtime. But let's see if it actually starts getting some airtime because there was all that exciting shit last year, like the event being shut down and all that. So
Yeah, and all the crashing, like that was
and people,
crazy amount of
yeah, and then
carnage.
I think one of the stadium events, the neighbors were like people put in a complaint and got the stadium event shut down for a couple of hours as well because of noise and all this sort of stuff. So um, yeah, you think in a country like China, considering there's that that photo of the house that's sitting in the middle of that highway or whatever because the person didn't want to move out. Have you ever seen that picture? And
Huh?
that person was allowed to keep their house there, and they just built this high like freeway like basically around it, like this tar right up to next to the walls and shit.
No,
Um,
I haven't seen that.
so
I'd
you'd think
imagine they just get bought out, or they'd just
uh,
kick him out. They just get the government, the military to come through and
well
just say
and that's sort of the
they're out.
direction I was going. That's what you'd expect, but no, doesn't seem like it. So it seems like the people still have a bit of a say, which kind of sucks a little bit.
Because that's what they did for the Olympics. Did you see all that when they like
Yeah,
destroyed a village just to put up the stadium?
just push him out. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they
Athletes
got
are
the
more important.
military in, and then it looked like a war zone because they were going. You know, they didn't have. I didn't think they had guns, but they had water cannons and people throwing rocks and shit at each other. But
You left it your own free will. We get it. We get to keep it now.
yeah,
You didn't have to
kind
leave.
of thing. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and then I guess other news came out of today. DCA Queensland Series dates have been announced. Um, they run it through the winter because they get 12 hours of track time on the Saturdays because Speedway season's finished. So they're allowed to use the allotted days that Speedway would normally use. So the Saturdays that um, Speedway would normally use, they get to use. So 15th of June, 27th of July, and then the 7th of September. So about 6 weeks between each round. Two levels. Uh, L2 as most series are starting to call it now. So yeah, you're a more amateur type, and then your pro. Uh, from my understanding, because they want to try and get up to a 32 car field, and Archie doesn't have space for 64 cars. Um, from my deciphering of Luke's post, they're talking 10 a.m. till 3:30 being your L2, and then your pro being 4:30 till 10 p.m. So I'd imagine what will happen is they'll run through L2, clear everybody out, and then the pro guys will roll in to the track and get
Jeez,
going from there.
that'd be
Um,
interesting.
yeah, but it's a drivers event, not a you know. Well, it'll be a good event to spectate, but it's more about the drivers. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, hopefully, and it seems like the interest has been quite good already. And yeah, um, hopefully they have a big turnout for it. It looks like some pro judge guys who have been called out to come and compete and try and defend their Q1 title, making excuses saying they're too busy being paid to do other stuff. So um, be good to see them put their money where their mouth is. Um,
How different does Archie look now compared, like, because I think Think posted up a photo a few weeks ago
oh,
of what
from
he
the top,
had, yeah, from a few years ago and what it is now.
yeah, like it, just the versatility of the pace. Like it, in a lot of ways, um, it's a, you know, it's he's turned into a bit of a skid pad, but a skid pad with like almost like a skate park style thing where it's a bit more of a free roam park type thing and I think this year now that uh, he's been able to move some of the walls back and open up some more space, and I think he's been able to fix some of the issues where the track was breaking up. So I think he'll have even more room to play. Where I know when we ran, I think the back-to-back weekends of um, DCA and then Cash Kings. I know you weren't around for Cash Kings, uh, but Cash King sort of ran through one of the sections that's rarely used, where you come off the big long wall early and cut into the infield really early and actually cut
Yep.
across the infield, and that's unusual for them to run that sort of section. But that didn't used to really be much of an option. To be able to do that until he's been able to add all that extra track, and there's talk of there being more track laid at some stage too. I think there's talk of him,
Really?
yeah, almost running. Now that you
Where's he
can't,
gonna find it? It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
I think,
crazy how much he's expanded.
yeah, I think it's almost going to run out to the chain link fence. I think is where he's trying to get tar right, almost out to the chain link fence.
Yeah,
So,
right. Okay.
and then the pits just sort of being along that the back wall and the chain link fence that's onto the street as opposed to the airport fence. So no, look, he's doing massive things. The guy could easily just be like, "Fuck it, I'm making money," and leave it as it is. But yeah, in the last shit, it's only been a bit over 12 months or a couple of, like a year and a half or something that he's had the lease, and yeah, done some crazy things. So uh, yeah, if you're in Queensland, or if there's if you're a DCA person who's from sort of New South Wales or Queensland, and you're missing the fact that there's a no DCA national series, currently running, that would be where I'd be heading, because I think it's sort of, other than South Australia, is sort of your strong DCA values in the way they push for the driving and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely get up and support that. I did have a look at doing maybe round one, but it sort of falls at a funny time when I want to do a trip to Queensland a couple of weeks later. So I think that's me out for that. But maybe Luke will get me up to judge. Happy to go up for judge, just not so happy to drive up that early. Um, but yeah, I think rules and all that are same as last year. I'll suss that out more and not, yeah, don't quote me on any of it, but I'm pretty sure it's just the 235 tire rule, and then you put yourself in whichever class you think you're best fit. So um, yeah, that's that one, and then some more cryptic shit from Luke this week
Yeah.
because
If
Adam
you saw that post,
LZ
people
sort
have
of,
been linking really weird stuff together.
well, yeah, Adam sort of spilled it himself with somebody he answered a question on Instagram story where somebody asked if he's coming out to Australia, and he's like, "Oh, I've got something cool planned with Luke," and Luke's put up a long post with a few pictures and stuff like that, and one of the pictures appears to be one of my favorite swimming spots in Australia. Um, it's not actually, it's the one next to it, but um, and then a place where people will live with two heads. Um, so he's put some dates up and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure that post is public, and most people who watch this probably have Luke or see that stuff
Yeah.
pop up anyway. Um, at this stage, my understanding is the dates for Mount Gambier are like firm but not concrete. So just waiting for like final stuff from council, and considering we saw those pictures like a month or two ago of the widening of the track at Mount Gambier, I would say that they're keen to have it back. They just, yeah, need to confirm that those dates. So uh, if you are looking at doing the sort of the DCA road trip, I guess you could call it, the Mexican Hoon Cartel Adam LZ Australian Extravaganza or something. Um, at this stage, the dates are starting to look like it will be Mount Gambier, 3 days. What is that? The 25th, 26th, 27th of October, and then the following weekend, the second and the third, will be a Super Matsuri at Simmons Plains. That one's confirmed, locked in, is happening in Tassie. So I think that'll be a run right into the night event, and then uh, potentially party at the track, and then uh, the next day being just another day of driving. Whether or not it's a Cash King event, I'm not sure. I think there's talk of
Yeah,
that one
I'm
being a
not.
Cash
Yeah,
King event.
I heard there's talk, but I haven't. I don't think it's confirmed yet.
Because I know that
I
there's
think
been
they're
talk
still
of them trying to,
deciding.
yeah, I know there was push,
Yeah,
they were trying to push for a Tassie uh, Cash King event, so that might be it. But again, not 100%. But Mount Gambier, if it happens, the Sunday will be a Cash King event. But if you're not keen on doing it, like the Cash King side of things, man, there's so much track time in the 2 days before it anyway, and probably in between battles and stuff. I think even if 60 cars showed up to that event, you wouldn't get a shortage of track time, especially now that they're going to be running both directions. You'll be able to drift, what used to be when we just had to cruise up to the start line, you'll be able to skid up to the start line and skid back and forth all day. So uh, yeah, I'm excited for that event. I did look at the boat, but
oh, did you? Nice.
I don't know. I don't know.
You gonna drive down or tow down? Is that what you're looking at?
Nah, tow down. I did the drive down
Ah,
thing and I blew up my car and did all that shit. Like it's just a
yeah, but you're
pain.
in a Z now.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. But then I've got to find somewhere to leave my shit in Melbourne and do all that. So
You'll find someone.
I don't
Sure,
know.
sure, someone could help you down there.
Yeah, the hardest part with the Buddy Z2 is trying to get space. Like I'd have to get roof racks and do all sorts of crazy shit because now that it's got a half cage in it, not that I've seen the half cage, I would imagine there's not a whole lot of space for shit. I used to be able to fit four wheels with no like putting one on the passenger seat. Fuck off, mate. Um, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Uh, Soft. I drove a way more race car on the road than you. Yours is just silly and loud. So, and if you're better looking, you probably would have got off your ticket. Oh, that's the other news. Did you see that internet famous chaser back out on track? You know that one from that famous YouTube guy's video.
I
The,
thought so.
yeah, as far as I'm aware, the owner of that
Well, the
car,
one from Mexico.
yeah, the one that went on the Mexican trip
Yeah.
from Queensland, the banana car, uh, yeah, ended up back on track. I spoke to the owner a little bit. The guy's a bit of a wild character. Uh, I asked if it had been put on any sort of chassis jig or anything like that to try and, just make sure it track straight. Nah,
Yeah.
nah. All he did,
Really?
he mo- he modified the rear arms on the side that the car had taken the hit to try and get it to track straight. So he shortened those arms, and that's all he did to it. He did try and drive it the day or a couple of days before, but then realized the radiator was busted. So then he got the radiator replaced, and he uh he sent it. So it's a pretty funny video. If anybody hasn't seen it, the car looks pristine on one side, and then it transitions and comes around in front of the camera, and you see the Bernarded car from Adam Elzey's infamous ACA video. So well done to the owner of that car for being one of the loosest blokes in the Australian drift scene. So we love you a lot. I think that's most of the Aussie news. Oh, D1W D1WA. I think it was D1WA. Um, there was a track at sort of off the side at Collie over in WA, called the Stadium. That was sort of like a sort of skid panty thing with some walls and all that sort of stuff. And while Collie was getting the big renovations and new corners added and all of that, that section was used for dumping shit on it, and they sort of lost access to that. But uh, they've managed to get that section back, so they now have another option for drifting over in WA. So for yeah, it seems like a pretty good place to be. They've got the main circuit at Barbagallo, the car park or the pit area at Barbagallo, which is their skid pan that they've been setting up all the Mahan and sort of. I think they even set up like a Byoku or something like that style track as well recently. Um, they've got that, and then they've got the main circuit at Collie that they're allowed to run, and they're allowed to run this now. So, oh, and the little hill climb circuit off the side of Barbagallo. So some really good options over there. So if you're in WA or thinking about wanting to go over there to drive, there's a heap of options now. So are you allowed to announce your news, or that's not?
I don't know.
Well,
I've no
let's
idea.
just say Eiji's been asked to judge a big comp this year.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
So um,
I don't know if it's well, yeah, I don't know how far along it is with organising it, but yeah, I've got flights or tickets booked, so I'm going. I think the others are still being confirmed. So
yeah, that's exciting. So once that's a little bit more allowed to be public, yeah,
I
anybody.
think we'll find out next week because they're trying to nail down everything at the moment.
But I'm sure people who understand will put two and two together. But yeah, it'll be good to have EG out judging one of those comps. Um, Michael, no, it is not Drift Masters, but Drift Masters announcement I think Friday. Um, Rob
Is that
White,
Rob White's one? Yeah.
what? Yeah, he did a
Okay.
video of he's done like all these little like previewy things, and then did like a 7 second like live streaming thing, being like sitting between his cars and was like, come back on Friday for more details. So just I was like this morning like listening with it up to my ear to try and hear what he said, and just like the biggest cock tease. So I was just like, ah fuck, all right, I'll find out on Friday. Uh, I just hope they don't do. I hope he moves away from Queensland. I would hope he'd run like Eastern Creek or something, but I can't see it happening. I would
Yeah, but
imagine. I would imagine.
that's
Yeah,
that's his
that's his
hometown,
backyard.
isn't it?
Yeah, so I would imagine it'll
Yeah,
be run there. Either that or, but see, Stanthorpe would be cool.
that's New South Wales,
Stanthorpe's not New South Wales.
isn't it? I
Nah,
thought it's
nah,
on this
nah,
side of the border.
nah.
Where's Stanthorpe?
Straight inland from Brisbane, like past Ipswich and keep going inland. I'm pretty sure, like
Oh,
three
that
hours or
way.
something. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, right.
yeah. Oh yeah, on Easter weekend, Craig the Drift was on. Um, next weekend,
I Yeah, not this weekend,
not
but
this
next weekend.
weekend. Next weekend,
Yeah,
we get to
this
go
weekend's
skids.
panic weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this weekend is kind of panic weekend. I have like, oh, I think I put them out the door already. Well, got my got my seat rails that I hope I'm gonna be able to mount my seat.
What are you mounting? Oh, you got a seat, don't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. All
I have
right.
my old
Yeah.
seat. So I'm hoping that that'll work, but it's a wide seat, so I don't know if it's gonna work. But I haven't seen my car in 3 weeks, so got my GK Tech stuff. Got gauges because when I drove the car on figure eight, I ended up with the oil light coming on the dash. So I think I maybe got the oil too hot. So got some gauges to go in,
Yeah. Okay.
and maybe a clutch.
A
So
clutch. Wow, you're going all out.
well, I figure we've got bring the bash, and that's 2 days.
Yeah.
And I'll probably use a lot of handbrake and a lot of clutch. So uh, maybe I won't use too much handbrake. We'll see what happens. And then the Revo's the following week, and I don't know what sort of
Yeah.
clutch is in that car, so I'm not sure if it'll handle the 2 days. So
You've got stock car.
yeah,
Yeah, stock clutch would be fine.
yeah, but it just depends. And I have a pile of like old crusty semi slicks. Um,
And you want to burn through those.
yeah, so I'm just a little bit
Okay.
worried that, but I'll probably end up running like 60 psi or something like that. So
I reckon they'll be still grippy even at 60 psi.
yeah, and that's my concern.
So yeah.
Just wait.
Mm.
Work-life balance. I can't even do this shit without having to sort out work.
Yeah, I haven't been able to do much on my car recently. I've still got to paint some pieces. So that's probably my plan this weekend. Put the kit on.
Which
So
car
I'm
are you
trying to get
bringing?
the 180. It's still having issues with the wheel alignment. Um, so
You're
I
still
think I'm just
having.
going to be doing.
What does that even mean? You're still having issues with the wheel alignment.
It feels really bad. Like I
Okay,
just can't figure out why. So I squared up the alignment. I think I sent you a pic when I was doing it.
so what you need to do
Um,
on
and
on
then
on Friday next week, be loaded up early. The boys at the workshop at Westside just got wheel alignment equipment, like proper laser wheel alignment equipment. It's brand
oh
spanking
really?
new.
Yeah.
Go past the workshop on the way north, meet us there, do that, and then we'll head up.
What time are you guys leaving?
Fuck, I don't know.
Okay. Because I'm gonna leave partway through the day. I'm not gonna do like leave in the morning and get there in the
That's why you're
afternoon.
gonna leave in the morning now, and then you go past the workshop, get a wheel
Yeah, but I
alignment,
need
and
to
get going.
work.
Ah, that's fair. I'm only gonna work morning. I'm
Yeah.
taking the afternoon off now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So if you want to see an actual proper drift event that weekend, um, then yeah,
as opposed
I don't know what you're
to
talking about. Um, so so Port Macquarie, at the go-kart track there, Daigo Saito, uh, driver from Japan, world famous. If you're watching this and you watch us and then don't know who Daigo is, then I'm not sure why you watch us.
I'm pretty sure everyone would know
That's what
who
I'm
Daigo
saying. If you
is.
watch us and you don't know who Daigo is, then we're
That's
sorry.
really weird. Yeah,
Uh, but
because he's been everywhere. Like I'm surprised how much he's covered of the world. I think it's almost like close to Team Orange sort of level.
I think he's probably well and truly surpassed Team Orange.
They did a lot, you know.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
went around to
yeah. They did a
a lot of
lot.
places. Yeah,
Without them, I don't think drifting would be where it is now. But yeah, sort of most of the kids now would have no idea who Team Orange is,
Team Orange. Yeah,
and would
and
definitely know who Daigo is.
I think yeah, people wouldn't even know. They'll start to forget Kumakubo because he hasn't really been drifting like the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Not actively as like he used to. So, but and
but
then the guy from New Zealand, the Japanese guy. Have you seen his videos? Yeah, you wouldn't because they're in Japanese.
yeah. Honestly, I
Yeah.
went to look at him because I was like, I can't remember why it popped up, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna go watch this guy's videos, and then I was just like, oh shit, I don't speak Japanese.
It's in Japanese.
Seems like a really fun guy though. He
Um,
looks like he
yeah,
looks
kind of.
like he's like just down for a good time. So,
Yeah, his he seems like a little bit boganish.
but
A little bit.
that's perfect
Yeah,
for
I know.
coming to the bash, where hopefully there won't be
But
as much
then,
bashing as other events. Um, then yeah, I think it'll be perfect. So, but I
but
think
yeah,
he's
most drifters in Japan are boganish anyway. Not all of them,
but I think
but a lot.
he's doubling as Daigo's translator, even though Daigo I think speaks ample amount of English, but yeah, I think he's sort of
Okay.
yeah.
He makes so that guy I can't even remember his name, but he just comes up in my feed. He did a really cool cover of the that S15 from D1NZ. Um
Oh, the one with the Baron
the
motor.
no. It's S15. Is that the judge's what's his name?
Oh, the white one.
Yeah.
The Z pole one or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he covered that one, explained a few things. Yeah, it's pretty good. It wasn't anything like professional level, but it was almost like yeah, it was like amateur sort of I don't know coverage, I guess. It was pretty good. And then I think he put the video together nicely. But I guess I don't think I've ever seen a video that's in English in
Yeah, and
his.
I think
Did you find one?
no. And I think
Okay,
for
they're all Japanese.
yeah,
Yeah,
and for most of our people, I don't think many of our viewers speak Japanese, so
yeah. But I think that's his audience is the people from Japan
yeah,
that are
wanting to see the
interested in
outside.
drifting. Yeah,
Yeah.
in New Zealand.
Yeah, look,
So
honestly, it's probably a it's a clever approach to it because there is, you know, a big audience. You sort of everybody tries to cater for the rest of the world sort of thing, but then you don't see much of like you got Alexia and all that doing English from Japan and giving people the Japanese side of things, but the Japanese rarely get given the rest of the world side of things because nobody bothers to do it in Japanese. So uh, no, I think it'll be fun, and I think from my understanding, there's already been a wager put on for who can get Daigo the most smashed. I think I think Chev's put a I can't remember where he put it, but he made comment about yeah there'll be an award for the person who can get him the most fucked up pretty much.
I, oh, I can't imagine it.
No, it's not Sky Zhao. He's Chinese, I'm pretty sure.
Sounds like a Chinese name.
Yeah, that's the guy who used to drive, who built that little track, Sky Zhao. You
What?
know,
Are you sure?
Yeah, Evergreen or whatever. Not
Hang
the
on,
not
hang
the
on.
track around the house, but that little the new drift track over there.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
Sky
and
Zhao.
it was like
Just like a
just
bit of a
little small tire barriers around.
it's got like a long wall along the front straight, and then it sort of
Yeah,
has a couple of link roads and stuff like that.
it's
But yeah,
really
but it's pretty
it's really
basic.
small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Sky Zhao. Nah, Sky's Japanese, and I found his name, but I ain't gonna try and say it because Eiji's gonna laugh at me.
Ah, you should try it then.
Well, it
Just that's
Takeshi
all you had to.
Takeshi. Uh,
You're intensely trying to get this wrong.
I want to see Saito DCA round one Nakamura level drunk. We'd have to find out from Fink if like he's a if Daigo's a drinker, but I feel like most Japanese people are drinkers.
Uh, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I thought like all the Japanese like skaters and stuff
Most.
that I was around, like I was like, oh these guys are world champions and stuff like that. They're super sensible. And then the competition finishes and yeah, not sensible at all. So I would imagine that somewhere like a Daigo is pretty much the same.
Yeah. I don't know. I imagine he would have a beer, but he's so quiet. Like every time I've seen him, he's not said very much.
Who's that
So
Daigo?
yeah.
No, he doesn't.
But then
But yeah,
um,
but
but for some reason he came up because Connor's got the prelude in Japan,
yeah,
and he was running around Nishi because that's where Daigo pretty much sits. I don't think he really moves from that. Maybe to go on Minami a little bit, but then he came up to Connor and said, "Hey, can I have a ride in the prelude?"
yeah. Wasn't he a bus driver
What? No,
for
no.
kids?
Wait,
So
he didn't even ask. He got Shinji to ask.
that's how awkward he is. He's just like not even like I'll go
Yeah,
and ask. But considering he didn't he used to drive buses for child's
yeah.
schools or
For,
something, he was
I
probably
think
just like
orphanage.
yeah.
I
So
think
he's
it's
probably just like,
orphanage.
well, let's go and jump in the car with this retarded kid.
Yeah.
Instead of me always doing the driving, let's let somebody else do it. Let's let one of the kids do it.
Yeah.
We love you, Connor. It's okay. But yeah, I'm keen for yeah. It should be a big weekend. Do you guys have 4 cars from Team Red Stage Drive? 5 cars, four. You,
Um, for at the moment.
Nick, Paul, and Rob.
Yeah, that's what initially, but yeah, we'll see.
Who's not running currently?
Um, I haven't sent a message to someone yet, but yeah, it's
Okay, that's awkward.
yeah, I'm gonna get another person in hopefully.
Well, okay, yeah, I think there were spots because I was speaking to I don't know if he's still president or former president of South Australia, and he was offered a spot recently, but too busy buying parts for his wife's car, trying to win brownie points. So no driving for him, but hopefully he'll come up
Yeah,
and
I
hang out.
saw that. So he's kind of I thought his cars were moved up here, but it sounds like there's still a car left in South Australia for them to drive.
Maybe, but I think it's the car up here that they're working on. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
it's the KE70, I'm pretty sure. So uh, yeah, but hopefully El Presidente or El Former Presidente will be coming to Revo. So with the
Re-
Saphira.
uh, to the Bash or
No,
Revo?
Revo.
Revo. Wow. Okay. That'd be cool. Last time I saw him out there, he was doing really well. Like he was actually, he
Drifting.
just sort of was a, yeah. He it
It's
took him a
unusual
little
for New
while to
South
loosen him
Wales.
up. It took him a while. He was all like really sort of, you know
Old.
how like someone's when they haven't been, they're a bit rusty, so they're like the movement's not very smooth.
Yeah.
And after he sort of loosened up, geez, it was really good.
Had to get them old muscles going, and then he was set.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he's switched off, so I can't give him too much shit.
Yeah,
Um,
well,
yeah, shit.
so
There's a lot going on of late.
there's a lot of stuff coming up, I think, soon locally. So, like, as
Yeah.
in within Australia,
So
lots of different things, and people still making announcements. There's, um, I think we spoke about Marulan already, yeah, 2 weeks ago.
yeah, there was the test on. I think everything went pretty well. If it happens, might be a little bit restricted on corners. I think the corners between those concrete barriers end up resonating. That video of the Porsche, I think, demonstrated the fact that yeah, the noise just resonates between those concrete walls. So I think they might be avoiding those sections, but there's a good chance they're going
Yeah,
to be able to run the track forwards and backwards because I know it was tested both directions.
yep,
So that's yeah. Even if you only get limited corners, but you can run it two directions, it changes the feel of the track and the way you attack the track. So would be
be nice because I think they changed the track a little bit and they filled in, or they covered with dirt where the original track used to go, um, near the concrete, like the middle concrete section, I guess you'd call
the
it.
the dirt oval section, the original dirt oval section.
Yeah, but the track used to go
It looks
across the
fairly
top.
from the videos that I was sent. It looks fairly similar in some ways, other than the fact then
Yeah,
it sort of cuts in at one point that it didn't used to. But it looks like the elevation changes have been so there's been some elevation changes made through
no,
through one of the
I don't
sections.
think it's that bad.
It looks like it comes up and over one of the sections on the sort of the far side of the track, like the complete opposite side of the track to the front straight. Looks like it's more of a crest now. So
Yeah, because I
uh,
think that's where they changed it as well. Like that sort of, I think they cut two corners out when they did that.
yeah, I'm not sure. I never drove it originally, so uh, Harry's saying point the exhaust down like Archie. I don't think at any stage were they peaking decibel meters because of
No, I
exhaust
think
pipes.
it's
I think
bouncing off
it's
those
it's the
concrete
bouncing off
walls.
that and the tire screech. I'm pretty sure because Nick showed up with his car with a straight pipe. He didn't run a muffler at all.
Really?
Yeah, I think they wanted to just see what it would do, like what the decibel meter would do. And yeah, he straight piped the 33, and he was pretty much fine most of the day.
Wow. Because I thought he would have put a muffler on it because he made it sound like he was just going to go in like super conservative, just try and take it easy,
I
and
think the track didn't want it necessarily done super conservative because originally, even when it started raining, the boys didn't weren't gonna drive so much. But the track asked them to go out there and drive it while it was wet as
so they
well,
can get a reading and
like a proper exhaust reading and stuff like that. So, and I don't think they had too many troubles. So, it's good. Hopefully, yeah, that's one to come. I think they were hoping to do maybe another more relaxed day before you know things become bigger, but I guess we'll wait and see. Uh, I'd seen dates for the last round of, or the poster for the last round of South Australia come up, but I can't find it.
I never saw that. Wait, last round four.
Yeah, which is the last round because they cut it by a round. Yeah, no idea. I saw it floating around, but it's gone. So keep an eye out for that. Uh, yeah, I think that's most of the drift news for now. And I guess over the weekend was the biggest one of them all. Pro 2 of Formula
Yeah,
Drift. Uh, the Adam LZ had
Debut.
his debut, and I think I think this round of FD between Pro 2 and Pro is now starting to show the need for an electronic judging system of some variety. Uh, just because, like, yeah, such high scores across the board or such consistent scores across the board, and that sort of being the make it or break it. And I can't remember who messaged me. Somebody messaged me and was like, uh, the fact that they're giving out better scores on second runs in the dry during pro
Yeah,
qualifying, uh, but the runs weren't necessarily better.
yeah,
But it
yeah. They
seems like
weren't
that,
they weren't better, but they were getting high scores. They seemed like it just seemed like
yeah,
yeah,
there
a
was
bit off.
yeah,
It
some
wasn't
funny mark
consistent.
beeping and stuff like that. The two guys who didn't qualify, I think one had car dramas and didn't actually end up running a qualifying pass anyway. And then I think the other one had mechanical dramas as well. So the top 32 wasn't really necessarily affected by those qualifying scores for Pro, but it definitely made a difference in Pro 2. Did you watch much of Pro 2 or any of Pro 2
Only Adams.
qualifying?
Yeah, and that's I saw that in the video afterwards. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, Pro 2 qualifying overall, like good quality. I seriously thought that there was going to be a shitload of cars put into that first wall, uh, either through just shitty driving or guys with like cars that just weren't up to scratch, and then having dramas, tie rods breaking, bending, power steering failing, all that sort of stuff, and putting somebody into the wall. But nothing major like that really happened during qualifying. Qualifying ended up pretty clean, and yeah, just a shitload of 83s and 84s sort of popping up, and that yeah, Adam didn't end up qualifying. He ended up on I think an 83, which was like equal something really high. But I think for the whole first run he was sitting in like the top five or something. But then after he'd done his second run and ended up zeroing out a whole bunch of people, scored 84s or 83s, and then with the fact
yeah.
that they had another score on the board meant he was knocked out. But the driving quality of the tandem runs was not nearly as good as the solo runs.
Nah, I
Um,
watched that.
the
I
t-
watched the top 16,
yeah, and
and then I turned it off.
yeah, just and really, I think Orlando as a first round is actually a really good track. Uh, because it's so
You think
basic.
so?
It's just so basic as a first round.
It is,
As
but
a
it's such a weird entry, like an initiation.
Yeah, it is. But for most of those guys in the states, that shouldn't be anything new. For guys coming up down from uh, the Pacific Northwest, like they're on a big banked oval, and they use the different size bankings throughout their own series. Any of the guys who do Drift League down in California are driving on Irwindale all the time, and whether or not they use the initiation on the low bowl or the high bowl. So for anybody living and driving in the US, that sort of initiation is not, you know, is isn't all that new for them. And the fact that those guys, were struggling to even sort of keep up with each other on the start line and stay close on the banking, uh, just shows that they're sort of still, I guess, feeling it out. I guess you'd say like all the pro guys were sort of right up on each other on entry, and you had like the James Dean incident of getting too much underneath Chris Forsberg and smashing into the side of him and all that. But the pro two guys all seemed to get gapped, whether or not, you know, didn't matter who was leading and who was chasing. When they swapped positions, a similar gap would open up. So you're not talking, you know, car power or anything like that. It's purely them giving each other space at this stage. So uh, yeah, it'll be interesting to see once those guys go to Atlanta if the battles tighten up a little bit. But I think that's the biggest thing is just the battles tightening up. The it Qualifying showed that the the skill level of the drivers to turn a lap is there, um, but whether or not, they can then start to push a little bit more on the tandem runs needs to be shown from Pro 2. But yeah, I would like to see, potentially an electronic judging system come in for at least qualifying, and I know there's somebody working on one, so um, So
Is
hope,
this a bit of a push to get that
yeah, our friend Michael needs to
going?
get his shit together and get working a little bit harder. No, no, I shouldn't say
Yeah,
harder. I should say faster because I know he works
nah,
his ass
harder.
off. Um, so yeah, Aaron's saying it was a bit of a dull course from a spectator's point of view. I think if you were just to sit there and watch it over and over again without sort of any hype behind it, but I thought the tandem runs in the pro
Pro.
level were really good
Yeah,
overall, and that's why I think that sort of track early on. And I guess we spoke. I guess we haven't spoken about Drift Games since Drift Games was on the first round. And what did we speak about Drift Games? No, I think I just
I can't remember.
messaged Matt Harvey, who we had on the last couple of weeks. Uh, I think when you make a course too difficult or too strange.
Drift Games is a Mungie course, wasn't it?
Yeah, 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 but the entry was
Yeah,
the entry was funky, and a lot of people struggled
yeah.
with it being funky. And the problem is with like, I think funky courses are fine for like a DCA event or
What do
that
you mean funky?
like where it challenges, it really pushes the driving ability of the drivers,
Okay,
um or just sort of how quickly they can adapt to.
so it's yeah, so to challenge the drivers rather than
Yeah,
having something
but
that's good for spectators.
yeah, but I don't think that's what you do with a televised series. I think you're better off risking having a judging system that you're like, oh shit, we've ended up with a whole bunch of the same scores like in Orlando, but have it so that those drivers are turning sick laps, they're able to jump on each other's doors, the tandems make sense. You're pissing off one side of the fans because they don't understand why it's gone the way it has, but because it was sick and it's hard to choose who you should be picking. Where you go to something like your drift games, and when decisions are being made for you by the time you've made it through the first corner, it's not a spectator event. But if you're live streaming and doing all that, it needs to be about the spectator, not about the driver.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
get
if
what you
you.
mean. Yeah, it's easier for them to understand as well as them as in
Yeah,
spectators. They can understand without having to have lots of knowledge about drifting. They can just it's a lot clearer and obvious. Even if it's when there is a big mistake, if it's a small, then it could be shown and explained to them relatively easy rather than pointing out clip whatever because they had six no they had I,
like
one
nine.
you had a lot yeah they had a lot of clips
Um,
and zones and crap like that.
yeah, sure. There's this saying, or just don't do a really shit layout, but run that shit layout. Like I think, I didn't. The entry was a bit funky, but run it at your national event that they've started now that isn't televised, like is doesn't have the live stream and all that. Test it there, see if it works, and that's your development series now. Push those guys to get good. Give them tips on how to do approach that corner. Maybe make the entry speed either a little bit slower or whatever, and create you know versatile drivers, and then introduce that to your top series once those guys have come through. But don't put it into your top event, especially like in your first showing of that event, and have people go, what the hell? Because at the end of the day, like you sit back and an event like Orlando, you sort of, once the battles get going and the battles are tight and the runs are good, you don't really sit there at any stage and go, oh, this battle's only tight because the layout's boring and shit. You're just sort of like, you want your driver to win at that stage, and you forget about the fact that it's a boring layout. And then after the event, you're like, oh, the layout was boring. Or before the event, you're like, the layout was boring. But during the action, you don't think twice about the layout. But when the layout sucks, like what happened with, or the layout's a bit funky, like your drift games, during the event, you're like, why are they running it like this?
So this would be for
Just
the average viewer.
yeah, but
It
but even
wouldn't the casual viewer. I think that's what
but I think
you
even
call
as
it.
guys who are good drivers and are watching it and want to watch it, would prefer to see a slightly easier layout but a sick tandem run than a shitty tandem run because it's
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if it's easier, but like you just need particular things. 'Cause Orlando was. It's. I don't think it'll ever be a good course
but it was good
drifting.
for tandems.
Was it though? Like,
Yeah,
if it was good for tandems, then why did Pro 2 fail so badly?
because they
Like,
just let
why were
each
there
other.
so many
Because
gaps?
they just let each other give each other space off the start.
Yeah, but then if it
If
is a good tandem course, then it wouldn't matter if
but that,
would
that's
matter with the skill as
yeah, but that's
much.
guys like holding themselves back as opposed to a track holding them back.
Yeah, but if you have a good tandem course, then the course will actually make up for that.
Yeah, but you know would have made up for that for somewhere like Orlando for Pro 2 is if they got rid of the wall.
On the outside.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like you would enter harder knowing that if you mess up behind the guy, you ain't gonna plow into a wall.
Yeah, I don't. I wonder if they're actually that afraid because when you're running along the wall, you don't really.
It's
It's
entering
not.
it's entering the wall though that most people get scared of, like and the person messing up in front of them and then them, you know, making a
As in
mistake and crashing into the wall.
the person
Yeah,
chase car.
once
Yeah.
you've settled the car, like as they all showed in their qualifying runs, they have no problem once the car's settled just doing their thing. But I think people are worried when you're in the chase run that if something happens that you know you've written off a car. So
Yeah, maybe, but that's the level that they've promoted Pro 2 to be. You shouldn't have that issue
no, I don't think they've
because
promoted it to be anything really. I think
oh
it's
yes,
just
they
grown.
have, especially since the interviews in Maximum Driftcast and things like that, where Ryan Sage is one of the owners. He's the one that said that Pro
No,
2 is like
the best that it's ever been.
no,
But and the best that something's
it's
ever been.
it's such a high level now that they need to create another category. Remember that?
Well, yeah, I think they're trying to work out some sort of feeding into it. But I think again, like that's
I
your
don't
creating more
I don't think
stepping
they.
stones.
Yeah, but they've already got before that, before Pro 2, they've got the whatever
Yeah, that's
the
just your, yeah,
organization.
but that's not under FD's like regime sort of thing. That's sort of
Yeah,
they
but
just
that's
license
like
that off.
yeah, and that's what's wrong with that. Like, why does FD need to be in control of that? They just
Bec-
license it off and say,
because
hey, you guys.
yeah, but then they'd still have to because then it's sort of um I don't really want to say what I wanted to say. Um, because just say we had some national series here, and you gave just the winner of each series a license to go and do that next level, there would be several series that would fall short on being as competitive as
Yeah,
some of the others, and that's
yeah.
not the driver's fault. That's the organization's fault and who they've got judging and all that sort of stuff to actually push those guys to be better drivers rather than you know just smashing tires or whatever. So, uh, yeah. But
Uh,
and I guess the thing is to remember they're only on 255 semis as well, so they're on smaller than most of the big series around the world. Well, no, they are on smaller tires than every other
this
pro
is
series in the world.
Pro 2,
Yeah,
or
he's
this
only
is
on
Pro as well.
255. No, no, pro is only on a
Yeah,
255.
yeah.
So that's smaller than DM1NZ, smaller than High Tech, smaller than IDC, smaller than you know D1. So you know it is sort of a feeder, a feeder sort of category. So yeah, I don't know.
Mm,
But look, I don't think you can judge off that. Once Atlanta's happened, then I think there will definitely be a better idea on um
yeah, I don't like that course. I don't like Orlando. It also the other thing I thought was a bit funny was well, not funny, but I just kept looking at was the transition off the bank coming into the inner bowl. I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah,
is that what
yeah,
you call
like
it?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
onto the flat.
it seemed like the lines between cars weren't consistent,
Yeah, a lot of
and
guys were dropping down early.
it looked more based on experience rather than anything else. So like the guys that had run there before, or who I've seen,
Well,
if I could remember there
anybody who
before.
was qualified in pro had run it before.
Yeah, so that was the biggest difference. I thought because they kept in a chase, it seemed more important in a chase position that they just didn't get in the right position to actually get the transition right to dive in on them, or like not even dive, but like I think it's more like they need to set their car position up to get around the inner bowl chasing, and unless they had that experience, or they were lucky and they figured out straight away. It seemed like most of the experienced guys actually had better car positioning.
Well, that's why I messaged our group and said, when's somebody going to come up with like infrared like visor or whatever on their helmet? Because I watched a couple of the guys in car videos on that transition.
Oh,
You can't see shit.
yeah.
Like
So
literally, it's muscle memory. Like if your timing was different behind a guy, and or you got a funny bounce coming off the ball.
yeah,
I don't know if uh the Candy Machine, James Dean and Peter's YouTube channel, they did a track walk and all this sort of stuff. Like they did a vlog from their week in Orlando, and they walked that section, and the gouges in as it comes off the bank from where people's diffs and other parts are bottoming out as they come off there is crazy.
yeah.
It's sort of like the
Well, you
same as
see how much bodywork fell off,
yeah, it's
like
similar
taillights,
to
bumpers,
yeah,
everything.
it's
Just
similar to Calder Park where if you get that line wrong when they run the dome, it just yeah, you smash the car to pieces, and if you hit it right, it's like nothing's happened at all. So
yeah,
it's just yeah, I think their lease is up with that track. Well, not their lease, but their contract is done either this year or next year. But that track also put in a big asphalt area specifically for FD to come to for transporters and all that. So that's the skid pan that's in all the Florida drifters vlogs and stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, it'll yeah. I don't know. I just think I think it's a good track for early in the year, or that style of track is good for early in the year because it just sort of it puts everybody on a fairly even, I guess, simpler playing field, and then you sort of see where everybody's at, and everybody's yeah pretty competitive. But yeah, Pro 2, I won't pass too much judgment until we see what everybody's like in Atlanta. But if if it was a case of seeing cars off the start line, one car gapping, and then on their chase being right up behind them, then it's car setup and power and all that sort of stuff. But the fact that the same cars turned around were having the same gap
yeah,
showed that it's a driving problem, um, not a car problem. So
yeah. I know what you mean,
yeah,
but I still would have. I kind of the way that Ryan Sage promoted it, I'd expected a bit more out of the
look,
competitors.
I think you just expect more, but I like overall it wasn't that bad. Like if you go back and watch FD from 10 years ago, it was still better than that. So uh, yeah, like I don't know,
Yeah,
and some good accidents in the battles too. That Z4 got
yeah,
just smashed to pieces. So, and I'm not a huge fan of Z4. So uh, Ben Benny asked how the electric Camaro went. So was one of
yeah.
my big questions. So
I didn't see it at all because I just watched the battles, the top
he didn't
32 battles.
compete in it. He competed
Yeah,
in
but
the 13 again.
yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, what's the Ryan Lontaine? He posted a video of the
Yeah.
car doing a lap. I think
He skipped the
it was a
main bowl
bit
and
of a
then
weak
just
lap,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
But so in previous years, even on Thursday practice, whatever car you rolled out on the track for practice to begin was the car that you're stuck with for the rest of the weekend. So Mad Mike had an issue a few years ago
yeah, I
where
remember
his
that.
car shit itself, but Chris Forsberg had a demo car with him, and they spent the night on the Thursday night pulling the fire suppression system out of Mike's car, putting it in the 370, doing
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff, and then he showed up to drive out on track on the Friday, and they're like, "You're not allowed."
yeah,
Because you had showed up with the other one. So my understanding now is you're still only allowed your 12 laps over the Thursday and Friday, but Friday is official practice. So whatever car you show up with on Friday is what you're stuck with. So I think he
yeah.
turned a
Okay,
couple of laps in that car on Thursday. They realised that you know that's not what they wanted to run and risk. So they had the 13 with them again, and again, Reader did really well in the 13, uh, and yeah, showed that he's a good driver. That car's just going to take some time. I would imagine Atlanta, if they're going to do a full pull of a weekend in that car, that's the track it's going to be because it's the only one without a wall to hit. Well, the wall to hit is off the track. Uh, Even Texas and well, St. Louis we don't know yet, but Texas, they've put a wall on the side of the track at that, even though it's a road course. So
But there was no mention of why they didn't actually compete in
no, I think they just said
the
teething issue.
Camaro.
Yeah, just teething issues and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's weird.
One, yeah, because I wondered even at like that level, you'd want a car that's pretty sorted before you enter it into a competition.
Well,
So
of course,
and
and especially
then
against the wall.
yeah, and then to come out for the first lap and sort of really baby it, like not even just sort of
Give it full stick through the
like
bottom
ease.
section or anything like that.
Yeah, he just seemed like it was really they
But
were super unsure
but
about the
remember,
car.
yeah, they're also talking it only being about 400 or 500 horsepower, so it's not crazy. It's not going to light those tires up like
No,
other
it's
things
more than
would.
that, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
550 horsepower.
Yeah, which is only like 400 kilowatts.
That's
For
just a lot.
yeah, I guess. But depending on how big a tire it's running, it's not going to light those things up super easy when you're running like a 295 or something ridiculous. So
Yeah,
you're not going to get that instant smoke. Like if you'd put like 235 or something on the back, it probably would have. But uh, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird how quiet it is. It's like it's even more weird than just putting like a really really quiet muffler on a car. Like there's less noise from that than a Toyota Echo.
I reckon it'd take away from that experience. Like I can see what people say in the comments. Like I'm all for the electric drift car. Like
Yeah, I'm more
I'd
for the
want to
innovation, like the
I want to have one here as well. But I can understand from spectators, it's like, yeah, this is not what I want to experience. It's not what I want to like. It's that noise is part of the experience.
yeah. I was all for the
And
innovation, then I've watched it and it's
yeah, that's like when F1 got quiet as well. Like you heard everyone complain about how
yeah,
F1 got
but
quiet,
it's
and there's Formula E as well.
yeah, but I guess in racing there's so much more going on at the same time. But like an electric car doing, could you imagine 32 plus cars, electric cars doing qualifying?
Yeah.
Like, ain't nobody gonna sit there and watch that. Like, that's,
No, I think there will be a time when that'll happen. Like,
I don't think so. I think, I
um,
think, I think, honestly, the more I
yeah,
watch drifting, the more you
yeah,
realize drifting is about pure waste.
yeah,
Drifting is dead set about pure
yeah,
waste. We waste tires, we waste fuels, we waste body panels. Like it
yeah.
is literal, and like even you know arms and all that sort of stuff. Like you're literally just trying to destroy shit all the time. If you're not destroying body panels, you're destroying tires and fuel. It's just about pure waste and
Yeah,
how much noise and coolness and aggression you can put into
the
destroying it.
show. Yeah,
Uh, and
yeah. I
I
know what
think
you mean.
it's the same as like a burnout competition. Like
Yeah,
it's all about how quickly and how much the more you can waste in a shorter time period, the cooler you are. Let's be real.
yeah. To a point. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
but generalizing, yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
get yeah,
If you're gonna
yeah,
just do like, if you're just gonna average it out, the more you can pure waste, the quicker, the cooler you are.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. It'll maybe over time as it slowly sort of comes in and people get used to it, it'll be okay. But yeah, it's all a little bit weird. I think the
yeah. I think people get used to it. It's like watching Formula E now is it seems normal-ish now.
I guess I'd be interested to see somebody who's never seen drifting before, like
Yeah,
like maybe 10 or 20 people go and just see one or two electric cars, not never go and see drifting with any noise. Watch that and just see what their first impression is. And if they're oh, that's pretty cool,
Yeah,
and they're excited by it,
yeah.
then it could be a thing. If they're all just oh, it's a bit weird,
But
um,
they need to not know about anything,
car,
any other car related. It
yeah,
has to,
yeah,
as in they grew up with electric cars only, or no sort of
yeah, no introduction to cars
muscle
before.
cars,
Yeah, yeah,
no hot boys, no anything. There's
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you go and get your grandma or something like that who's never had any experience with that sort of stuff. Um, yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. But I think if people who are unsure about it, who can already drive or love drifting, were able to get in one of those, like get into the car, even if it wasn't from driving it, but just being in there experiencing it from the inside, I
yeah,
think would probably change opinions, and that's why I'd be interested to see people who haven't had any introduction to drifting and see what they think of it, sort of thing. So,
yeah.
but the car looks cool, looks good, presented nicely. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully Atlanta that they've got a little bit more sorted. So
Me
um,
too. It's it's like a really hot topic at the moment. I think.
yeah, and yeah, yeah, I don't know. There's so many questions around it, like not being able to hear it following, not being able to hear it in front of you. Like on that track, say like with all the smoke and stuff like that. At least when you're hearing the other car going, you know that you can stay on it through the smoke.
Yeah,
But if it's silent through the smoke and it's stopped in the middle of the track in the middle of its own smoke, you don't know that it's stopped and to maybe jump on the brakes or whatever. You're just a few of those senses are sort of gone. Like
yeah, that's right.
you're
I know what you
basic
mean. I
you've basically become a deaf person now
I
against
think
it.
chasing it is like when I was imagining chasing it would be more difficult than being chased by it.
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
wouldn't care. I
Yeah.
wouldn't care with the car behind me.
Well, and
Um,
with all the judging criterias in most series around the world now, that's yeah. What the chase car does to you is irrelevant.
yeah, but then at the same time, I think judging will make it more difficult because part of the thing is you do listen to the car and and what the driver has done, and if you can't hear when they've lifted, or if you can't hear when they've hit the gas again, maybe they've plowed into the car in front of them intentionally. If you can't hear that, then
Yeah.
it just makes it there's another level of difficulty. So
Yeah, and that's where
even
Michael's drift bit would make a big difference in that sort of situation, and I think that's where it's going to be
yeah,
needed more and more.
so yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be cool to get more than one.
But I
Um,
think it's good that it's only started with one.
yes, well, yeah,
I think
as
if
long as
I think if two or three had shown up at the same time, it would make things even more difficult because then there's more incidences happening where you don't want that
yeah,
many happening. You're better off having to deal with that stuff. Because could you imagine it, three situations in a weekend where the electric cars, but three different electric cars have all been hit during a transition or whatever. Like then all of a sudden you're having to make rules on the fly to try and
on the spot, yeah,
work out what you're going to do to fix that problem. Where when it's only one, you can sort of be like, we'll deal with it at the end of the season for next season or whatever.
yeah, or you'd have time between rounds as opposed to between battles.
Yeah, or you just hope it wouldn't happen as often. But yeah, yeah, it's a bit of a thing. But yeah, I'm honestly I'm glad for Travis that they're traveling with the other car.
Yeah,
Well,
for his as a
yeah,
driver,
yeah,
competitor, yeah,
yeah, just to go and have a completely throwaway season would have been horrible.
yeah.
And considering that car's pretty basic, and I don't know how many changes they made to it, but he's just driving really well. And shows he deserves to be there. So
What
uh,
did he place last weekend?
I think he made top. I thought he made top 32.
Yeah,
I
he
might
got
be
through.
wrong.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
No, he
not
got
top
through.
32. I mean top 16. But I
So
might
into
be
top
wrong.
eight, got knocked out.
No, I think
Because I
it's
only
just
watched
top.
top
I think
32.
just top 16. I might be completely wrong.
I'm pretty sure
No,
he got through top 32, and then I didn't watch all of top 16. I'm pretty much started it and stopped.
no, sorry, he got beaten by
So
Ryan Turk in top 32. But yeah,
did he?
yeah, Ryan Turk actually drove really well considering the turnaround time on that car.
Okay, yeah, because that car was put into the wall in Long Beach. I thought he made it
No,
through. Oh,
that's a new car. That's a different car that
that's
he.
a new car.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
his.
fix it.
No, no. So the street car, the street car that had the wise fab
Yeah.
and all that shit, that they turned that into the pro car. They cut the back off it and moved panels over and all that. Like they didn't even paint the roof. The roof is still the original color that the car was, and then they just put all the old body panels that were good, and then put the rest of the livery on the parts that were replaced. So it was pretty
Wow.
cool. They did that in like 10 days or
Only a
something.
couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, huge
Because
effort.
Long Beach wasn't that long ago, I think.
Nah, 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Then the other car and proving that it was car more than driver. Um, can't even think of his name now. Japanese driver.
Taguchi,
Taguchi was debuted
the S15,
the
so much better.
yeah the VR, and I don't think he's ever driven a VR powered car before. I don't think that's what he drives in Japan,
No, I
and
don't think
and he drove really well. He said it.
it just looked like it handled so much better.
Yeah, I think his translation was like like something like still new but feeling much more comfortable or something like that. And yeah, he looked good in it. So yeah,
Yeah, it's cool.
shows the
Especially on like the initiation into the bank. That was cool. I
so
think he got knocked out early though, didn't he?
yeah, he got
Top
knocked. Yeah, top
32.
32 didn't make it through,
Yeah.
but I
They
think
look cool. And I think it was close too, wasn't it? Besides I think he was a bit weird on that section that I kept talking about, the
yeah,
transition. And then he had to dive real hard and it yeah. So I'm not too sure about.
it was against Essa. So and Essa's was driving really well that weekend. So
I kind of think the second inside clip shouldn't be there.
yeah, you shouldn't be forcing the cars. Yeah, the first clip is good because it forces people to slow down coming off the bank. But yeah,
Yeah,
I agree where rather than making them try and dive back across the track, you'd want to try and make them sort of keep uh, on that track edge as they transition rather than trying to
yeah.
cut back across the track.
Because
Yeah,
I think the chase cars, because that's something I was trying to say was the chase cars are trying to dive too early. Like they need to set themselves up so they're as soon as the lead car's gone through that inside clip, then they're already like accelerating towards them, and then they'll hit the dive just after the clip.
yeah. I have a big question on safety with that one because during I think I think Pro 2 there was a false start on,
Ah, yeah, on
and
the
then
first
yeah,
battle,
and
and then
then
and
and
then
then that
they've gone into the start
yeah
grid or
the
something.
guy
Yeah,
slid up into and the problem with that is like right behind that is the chute to come in and out of the track. So I think yeah, if somebody made a real bad mistake trying to run outside of that bottom section super early, I think
yeah.
they run the risk of flying up the track and through the chute. So I wonder if that's maybe part of it.
To
Um,
try and pull them in.
yeah, but I just pulled it up on Google Maps. That inner clip, there's still a whole lot of space in front of it. So if you sort of dive bomb through there, um, and the track is designed to actually try and slow them down off the bank. If you look at the layout, it's sort of um,
What's it called? Orlando
Speed World,
Speedway
Orlando Speed World. I'm gonna pull it up on here for
Dragway.
people. Um, so you can sort of see that
Oh no.
they're trying to hold you to this side of the track rather than getting people to dive across the track. So, um, I think it looks worse in videos than it actually is. But yeah, it looks like it's designed to try and slow people down. So that inner clip doesn't actually look that awful, and I don't think you'd end up in the chute. No, I think it just looks worse on video than it is in person. So
I think they've got the approach wrong.
yeah, kind of,
I
maybe.
think if they extended so on that image, they extend the
And pull it back
the
in front of
course
your
a
face.
bit further around the top.
So like you held out along the wall for longer,
Yeah,
and then drop down a little bit later.
yeah, and then you curve, so you pretty much instead of being sort of heading towards the inside, you sort of come down vertically. But I don't know how that would work with the bump and
Yeah,
how
they'd probably be more
if there's
savage at
anything
that
else on the
stage.
track. Yeah, well, I don't because usually the banks sort of kind of level out a tiny bit
But it's
on the
only
straight.
yeah, but it's only a short oval, so potentially not. But yeah,
Oh, you
I
might
get what
say
you're
bank all
saying.
the way around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because most of the short ones are more bank, like stay fairly banked the whole way around. So
Well, either that or I don't know. I don't know how you.
yeah, I would imagine like 'cause they've been there a few years. So um, Benny's asked what we think of the James Dean and Chris Forsberg battle. The the two the Waterhouse boys made reference to
This is in
the
top 16, was it?
yeah top 16.
Yeah,
Top.
because I think James Dean got a bye run in top
Mm,
32 because of her car failure.
yeah, potentially.
And so I didn't watch top
Yeah,
16.
yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. Top 16. Yeah, top 16. Um,
Yeah.
so the controversy that sort of Chelsea Denofa drummed up a little bit after uh, Long Beach was about this year them wanting cars nose to tail on initiation, or the start of entry,
Yeah.
and where previous years they've sort of had the lane, so the lead car has had to stay in its lane, but now they want the lead car completely uninterrupted. They can do whatever the hell, well, not whatever the hell they want. They don't want like a big motion the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Um, but considering Peter and James had made reference to it in their vlog, and then James went and drove up beside Chris, and Chris whipped the car and ran into James's front wheel. So I'm not sure why James was up past his rear bumper when they've been, specifically told this season to not be in that position. And out of all the battles in the first two rounds, that's the only time that's happened. And it's
Hmm.
the two-time defending champion who's gone and driven up beside him. So, uh, yeah, listening to anybody who's actually, likes James and Peter, look up Candy Machine uh,
YouTube.
on YouTube. Probably don't put it into Google because you'll probably get some weird shit. You'll probably have to click
So
yes
did
I
you
am.
do that before?
No, I haven't, but I would imagine you probably have to click I am 18. Um, and they're getting better with doing their vlog stuff, and yeah, they're not on top of that car at all. On top of James's car, it's got some, yeah, it's weird. He's basically
Okay.
he's pulling his hair out with it being like it's set up exactly the same as all the parts, everything they've used are exactly the same as the S14 in in Europe, but it's having like it's blowing up power steering pumps just sitting in the grid.
Yeah, that's right. And they changed to from electric to that other thing because I saw that video.
Yeah, but
What did they?
but it literally blew up just sitting there, like running on grid. Like they had to pull it off before practice and replace it. He hadn't even done a lap yet.
Wow,
So,
that's weird.
uh, yeah, there's some bad, weird juju with that car. So, yeah. The other thing that those guys have done, which sort of blows my mind a little bit, and I would imagine it's a marketing thing and probably to do with money, they moved from fuel suspension to BC,
Yeah.
which I find is really weird. Like the guy who runs fuel suspension, you know, helping them set up their cars is the guy who's currently winning the championship in the same chassis as what they run. And they ran that suspension for 2 years, won 2 championships on it. Peters ended up, third or whatever ended up last year on that suspension, and then they've moved to a different suspension company. You know,
Yeah.
you know, one of your most important parts in the car. I just find that all a bit funny. So I would imagine it's more to do with dollars than anything else. I can't imagine that they felt like Odie wasn't giving them everything that they needed. But yeah, the fact that they moved away from what was working for them, I also find a little bit strange.
Yeah,
So
but I think it's to do with sponsorship and money, that sort of thing. And they probably thought that they could work around it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just find it, yeah, that's a little bit, found that a little bit strange. So
Yeah, still those. We watched the videos the other day, and Peter looks like an interesting guy. And I think there have been some people talking about how wild Peter can get as well when he's off camera and partying.
yeah, I think James is probably about the same. So maybe we need to try and get Luke to bring Peter across for a round. Probably what,
Yeah,
probably what asks for too much money now.
you reckon?
I don't.
Which country is he from? I have no
Poland.
idea. Poland. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the same. That's where Next Level's on,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
or the out. What's it called? Oak Tree
Yeah.
Outlaws.
Yep. Those guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, just sort of wrapping up. FD, Odie won the round again. That's back-to-back wins for him. Chris Forsberg came second. I'm pretty sure Chris was third at the last round. So that's 2 podiums for those two guys. Uh, I would say under current momentum for both of them, uh, it's going to be a big season for the two of them. Chris moving to the VR format is clearly better. He's not blowing up engines and doing all sorts of crazy shit. Uh, I can see him potentially winning the championship just because that's a well-oiled machine. That team. Uh, that's my early prediction on it. But Odie, anybody who follows Odie and Matt Field on social media and like their frenemy series and stuff like that will know that Odie's got a full-time mechanic in the workshop now just working on the car. So he's not pulling guys off other things, rushing to get stuff done just before rounds. Like again, that's now a well-oiled machine as well, and his life's been made easier. So if he can keep that car together and keep doing what he's doing, um, yeah, there's no reason that he won't, yeah, continue to do what he's doing. And I think because everything is so competitive now, like we could see in the last 6 rounds 6 different winners, but that might, that'll fall into the hands of the guys who have done really well in the first 2 rounds. So, yeah, I think it's been set up to be an exciting season because, yeah, the, it's competitive across the board. So, yeah,
How did Matt Field go?
mm,
Not very far.
he got knocked out by Denofa in top 16. But this is the thing. It's just so competitive. Like, yeah, you sort of think, oh, like top 16 is not that deep, but then you think like Denofa came third, and it's only, he only had to win two battles. Or no, sorry, he won one and then lost one after, you know, after beating Matt Field. So yeah, it's because yeah, FD doesn't do the battle for third and fourth anymore. So once you lose, you're out. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, big year, and you sort of realize how fast format drifting really is, like, and how short it is. You sort of think, oh, that person, Denofa to come third. Uh, what's that? One, two, three wins and a loss, and that's third place. So
Hmm.
that's sort of, yeah, it's crazy
Yeah,
to
it's pretty quick.
yeah, it's crazy to think. So yeah, I think overall really good. There's still a little bit of a gap down low with some of the guys. I'd say 4, 5 guys maybe still sort of pretty green to a lot of it. But yeah, I think
Are
they
they
will be.
the guys that progress through Pro 2?
No, not even. These are
No,
guys who've been
not
around.
even.
Yeah, these are guys
Oh,
who've been
okay.
around a little while, and I think it just comes down to the way the programs run. The guys who are doing arrive and drive style programs and all that, or just got a well-oiled machine behind them, drive really well. And the guys who are still doing your privateer stuff, like your Jeff Jones and Kyle Moen and stuff like that, are all still struggle. But because they're the ones doing so much work on the cars, like doing all that, you now start to see that the guys who are letting it be handled by others and just focusing on driving drive really well, and the guys doing lots of other stuff are just all over the place. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's becoming proper like more proper sport really, where you know
Yeah, I know.
you
Yeah,
focus.
that's always the goal, I think, with FD. Eventually, that's like their sort of plan. So um, it does become,
The driver needs to
sort of,
drive, and other people need to do the other,
yeah,
like the rest of it.
yeah,
Um,
it does become an overall sort of thing rather than you just let your driving skill sort of show itself.
did you watch much of Adam's vlog from the event? Did you watch it?
I watched his in car and his outside and the FD footage of his runs, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll leave that to you, Greg. You can
uh, so what I thought was really, you know, was smart from Adam was he set himself up the best he could with guys taking care of all sorts of roles
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah, he
And I
was so prepared.
yeah,
He
and I'm
was
and
cool.
I'm gonna psychoanalyze the shit out of him because
Well,
that's
okay.
just
Yeah.
what I do, and
Okay.
being a coach is sort of what I do. He didn't he he took it upon himself in the wrong times. He was having issues with a accelerator cable. It was like like it got caught and then started melting or something like that. And instead of letting his crew chief and the guy, his mechanic and all that, go and sort it out, he like just legged it out of the his pit area to go and ask somebody else for one and all this sort of stuff. And was just he'd set himself up to not have distraction and then distracted himself.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's growing pains for him. And then he went and did what he did on track and made the mistakes.
I
Uh,
thought he shouldn't have made changes
I,
in his qualifying as
n-
well.
he should. Well, he. I don't know if you followed him the week into the event, and this is classic driver error. He had a car that only revved to like 7,500 RPM or something,
Yes.
and then the week of
Yeah.
the event they ramped it up to 8,300 or 8,500,
Yeah. It's an
and
extra
then
1,000 RPM or something.
they had to then he was wanting to change diff gears because to try and get the wheel speed matched with whatever it was previously and all those little things, and it's like you literally did like 50 test runs with the car exactly the way it was. That video was floating around the internet. It was like a better run than a lot of the guys even managed in pro. Would have been like right on, would have easily would have put him number one in pro 2 with a high 90, and then he went and changed the car.
Yeah.
If he was going to a different track, yeah, change it, whatever. Like you're going to a different track, you
Yeah.
don't know what it's going to be like, but you were literally doing the same track.
But
So
yeah, you'd make adjustments, but you wouldn't make
yeah,
like
yeah, tire
those
pressures or
those.
dampeners or
Yeah.
whatever.
Even even the tire pressure change as well. I think he wasn't. Um, I think he because he did a tire pressure change between the first and second qualifying run.
But you got to remember when he was testing the car, nobody else is running semi. Not many guys are running semi slicks when they're running general practice days. There's not as many people turning laps high on the bank. Like that being gripped up was going to change. There was going to be minor changes needed to be made to get the car, being having whatever level of grip that the car he was used to having. So little things like that were going to
Yeah,
have to be
but
played with. But things like gaining another 1,000 RPM
yeah, I know
changes
that's
the way a car
dramatic.
drives.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
So
and yeah, I don't think he should have made that many unless it was necessary.
yeah,
So if it was like really bad, then and you went like it wasn't right, then yeah, I can understand
yeah,
you keep making changes until you make it feel good. But yeah, that's that. It looked like it was pretty sorted, and then he made changes. He made yeah. I really don't think he should have made changes even with the between runs because just I don't think he was qualified. If that makes sense because he that's his first outing, so
yeah, yeah. And you
it
just don't.
should be yeah. It should just keep it the same. Maybe next time you'll try and adjust, but
Yeah, yeah,
this time just this is a setup and then just leave it unless it was really bad
yeah.
because
So
it looked like it worked for him and then yeah and he spun the second one so
yeah, and so yeah, I think that's hopefully one of the biggest things he's taken home from it is just he's done everything right. He's put everything in.
almost
No, no, he's
yeah
he's
his
set.
plan was good
Yeah, he's set everything other than like the on track part of it. He set everything up around him for success. Like he's done
yeah
everything the way that anybody who is serious would come in and do it. But then he second guessed himself on a couple of things, and that's what fucked him over.
yeah
Second guessing himself was the worst decision that he could have made really. Could have we done it better? Could have we done this? Ask those questions after you've seen if it worked. Don't change it halfway through and then be like, oh, which option was working better for us? See it out unless it's like completely falling apart, but it wasn't falling apart at that stage. But yeah, like the little things like running off and trying to do the jobs that you've brought people in to do those jobs for you. Don't. But I think that's him just getting used to that role. And as I said, like the pro guys who are in that role now and just able to show up and drive and not do too much hands on, really are showing success. So that's
I
cool.
wonder how FD actually went with his entry like if the crowd was actually any larger or different
It was sold out like 2 or 3 days beforehand. So
is that unusual or is that
um,
normal
hello, Mark. It's nice to see you.
hi
Um,
Mark
uh,
I keep forgetting his YouTube channel I feel real bad
old ugly fat drift dude or some shit like that. I heard he's got like a really good property that you can rent up in Broome or something.
Broom. Okay.
It's just gonna get further away.
Broom's WA, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like
Yeah,
super north.
yeah, it is like northwest.
Yeah, the most like one of the more northwest corners of Australia. Uh, but probably about the same amount of shit there as Tailem and Ben's. Fuck all. Um, other than the fact they have a racetrack. Uh, I totally forgot where we were at.
If Adam's involved in
Oh
that too,
yeah,
the larger
for
crowd, because I don't
uh,
even know if it's not sold out normally.
Orlando's pretty limited because the bowl and stuff is you've only got a certain amount of seating and then space along the fence and all that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure when I looked at it, it was sold out, a fair bit in advance. But Thursday isn't open to public anyway, so uh, I wonder if a lot of people bought tickets to go and see him on Saturday and then he wasn't driving. But it's also his hometown, so a lot of people would have been just friends actually coming out to try and support him. I would imagine. I think Atlanta's massive anyway, but I think some of those other events will sort of show the Adam effect more than in
Okay.
Florida because it's 20 minutes from home for him ugh, from home for him. So yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting
yeah,
because there was a lot of comments, but I'm not too sure if that's because it was popular and then people were commenting, or if
Bit,
people were getting more involved.
it's just people being full of shit. Oh, I think their live stream was some of the biggest ones that they've seen, and a lot of people had no idea what was going on. So it just shows that something like that can bring an audience. So and that's good.
Yeah, cool.
That's good for your stats to go and sell it to a sponsor. That's all you.
Yeah,
That that's literally that level of the sport or like anything that you're trying to market. It's what you need. you need numbers, and if you've got fresh numbers and the numbers are growing, then there's more people willing to throw money at it. It's, you know,
Yeah. Well,
base,
just
basic
remember when
business.
Adam came to Archerfield, like I've
Yeah,
never seen Archerfield that full.
yeah, and the fact that you're on the verge of turning people away, like that's yeah, that's the effect. But um, it's different though, I guess, because their events in general are busy and tend to sell out and all that sort of stuff. But then they have had a bit of a downturn on it. But yeah, it'll be interesting this year to to see the crowd sizes that if it'll differ between Pro 2 rounds and rounds without it. Um, I'm not a rock. I have trouble sleeping. Uh, it's just read the Facebook comments. Uh, yeah. What do you? Oh, I guess you only watched top 32, so
Yeah. I don't even know who finished. I can't even. I think the other thing I saw was of JR and his crash and him getting back out on track after his suspension pretty much got ripped out from in front of him.
it's
That
it's
was his fault though, wasn't it?
yeah. He
Yeah.
messed up, and then
And then
Ryan tried to sort of avoid him, but I think he
he
had
was
either
already
got off the
moving.
brakes
Yeah.
and he had moved down, but it
Yeah.
was probably better
It
ripping the
was.
front corner out of it than him straight up T-boning his door.
Yeah. It was lucky. Like I think. Yeah. It was lucky. I still not a big fan of JR's driving. So
Yeah, here's another interesting one. I started following him on Instagram. If, if you're into this sort of stuff, follow as many drivers as you can on Instagram because and you sort of keep up to date through Instagram story and stuff like that. Um, it was
okay.
somewhere some
I'm
just
gonna have to do it now because I'm gonna forget
um
to get on Instagram.
the and remember Instagram story only lasts 24 hours. Um,
Oh yeah, shit. That's right. Because that means I have to look every day, don't I?
yeah,
God. Okay.
that's why you only follow people that are
Uh,
worth following. Um,
but I bet you follow like 1,000 people at least.
Me? Nah, I don't follow that many. I need to go
I,
through
I
and
don't even.
I need to go through and cull a little bit too. What do I follow? I only follow 223 people.
Not really. How did you
Yeah,
see the story then?
what do you mean?
And who else
So,
was the other person? Chelsea.
uh, so
Chelsea did.
my understanding was when Chelsea first moved into the Mustang, Chelsea was trying to learn how to drive it the way that Vaughan liked having that car set up and all that. Now,
Yeah.
after the 2 years of Chelsea driving that car, Vaughan's listened to Chelsea more and more, and the car is now set up
Really?
more towards the way Chelsea would set up a car. And they made
Wow.
changes. They made changes during the off season to be able to run that more street spec tire, um, and that's why you don't get the three wheel motion so much anymore. Uh, like the big lean over with the wheel lifting and all that. It's not happening as much. There's not as much. I don't think there's as much rollover in the tire. I think the car's more all round balanced. Uh, and I think that's from my understanding from what comments Vaughan had made in certain. It might have even been during one of the interviews with Lorette during the show. Made reference to the fact that it's sort of Chelsea was learning to drive Vaughan's way, and now it's sort of it started almost going back the other direction a little bit because Vaughan's like, this is the only way I've ever known, cars to be and all that sort of stuff, and now I'm learning more with it, and that's why I've made some changes over the off season. I just thought that was really, really interesting. So, because you've got a dude who jumped into pro drifting really early on in the US scene of pro drifting and just made a program work and got good at it, and
Yeah.
and
I think
Chelsea.
he's one of those old guys, like
Oh,
the kind of
yeah,
stuck.
yeah,
So
100%. And
they're
I think he'd admit to it too.
they're like
They know what they
um
know, and they stick with what they know.
yeah, and then where these new guys
Well, you,
like Chelsea.
you,
They've had to learn all sorts of different things, and then
well, Chelsea's learnt it
um,
on a budget. Chelsea's worked
yeah.
for a suspension company and was building shock absorbers and all that before he moved away from BC, and that's why he's got the BC. Uh, uh, Chev, get back in your box, mate. Uh, yeah, so he understands a lot of that stuff and has played with that sort of stuff in his own car. He's a bit of a drift nerd, the same way as Matt Field's a bit of a drift nerd, and I think it's those guys who tend to make those innovations and play with that stuff and then learn what does and doesn't work. Where once you're comfortable with something and you think it's working, you sort of stick with it. Where those guys sort of nerd out and are like, well, I went this direction with it and it seems to work. What would happen if we went completely the opposite direction? And then they just see what effect it has. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's cool. But yeah, follow as many of those guys on social media as you can, particularly Instagram. That's what most of them are using, and you just sort of you pick up little things here and there, and you're like, oh, that's just yeah, it's interesting to hear them say it. So I think it's yeah, Atlanta's well a week and a bit away. It's while we're up at Port Macquarie, so maybe I'll
Oh, really?
yeah maybe we should bring a. Oh, your work phone's the one with all the we might not have much reception out there. Do you have
Why?
Oh no, you don't have unlimited data or anything. We always kill your data.
No.
Maybe we maybe we can set up like something in our pit area and have Atlanta going.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. You can use my phone.
Yeah, we'll work something out.
I'm Yeah, because I don't do the streaming now from my phone.
Yeah,
I've got I have data left over.
yeah. Maybe we'll try and work something out and see what we can do while we're there. Bring your big battery and your inverter or something, and we'll like
Yeah, I've got.
have it going.
Yeah, I'll bring it along. Not a problem.
um, yeah, but Atlanta next weekend. So yeah, yeah, next weekend. So that'll be Australia time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Pro 2 second round, Pro 1
It's
third round.
the Atlanta's central
It's
US,
sort of
isn't it?
south, but yeah, central south-ish, but more towards the east side. It's only a
Okay,
few
so does
hours.
that mean what time would be on here then?
I think they run into the night there. When I was there, they ran into the night because well, they used to run Global Time Attack at the same time. So I don't think they have a schedule up at this. Oh no, they do. Uh, Open practice 12 till 1:30, I think Central Time, and then so qualifying is 6:15 to 8 p.m. uh, Central Time. So that's the first day. So that's into the evening, and then
So that's in the morning. It's like 8 o'clock or something, isn't it?
yeah,
No, earlier than that. 7.
yeah, potentially. Oh, it'll be this
7.
yeah similar time to no probably later than I don't know. I'm not gonna do the maths real quick. Uh, I think it's the same time zone as Florida was. So, and I think Florida was early in the day, so it'll probably be a little bit later in the day here. And then, yeah, pro qualifying is starts in the evening, 6:15 as well, and then battles for top 16 for Pro 2 is from 10 o'clock at night. So, yeah, it's into the evening because they have time attack on the circuit before that. So Atlanta's like one of those go-to events because just the whole weekend is massive. So
Is it kind of like
time
a
attack there
wartime attack?
sucks. Their time attack is shit. I went there.
Why?
Danielle was sitting there just like, why are we watching this shit? She's like, when do the drifters
What's
come on? Nah, they're like, it's not like a world time attack standard. It's like, yeah, people have like made like world time attack 8 years ago. Like people making
That's not that bad.
yeah, but people making like aluminium splitters and just weird like I don't know, like
They're still doing that now. You
yeah,
see some
no,
of the
no, I know,
budget
but
things that people do.
yeah, but like yeah, it's still a bit like that. It's not yeah, not but then they don't
It's a
have
lot worse over there, is
but
it?
they don't and
It's
then
a lot
they don't
prevalent.
yeah, and they don't have the high end stuff like we have show up to World Time Attack because it's a series. It's
Okay.
a series like Global Time Attack is or whatever it's called now is it's a series, not a one-off event. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, but that was also 5 years ago. So, yeah. So if you want to catch the Clutch Kick team, we will be at uh, Port Macquarie next weekend. Not this weekend. Next weekend. Uh, I've got my new trailer. I've replaced my old one.
When are you gonna do your vlog? When are you gonna do your vlogs? Yeah.
I don't know. I did a little bit from figure eight, but then I was like, But what I'd like to do, maybe Saturday if I pick up the car, I'm gonna have my new tow car, my new
Yep.
trailer, and my
Yep.
new drift car all together in the first time, and the fact that my two Nissans are exactly the same color. The tow car and the drift car are exactly the same color, and the new trailer's grey as well. So,
Wow.
yeah, I might do a little bit of a vlog with that, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty much back in the game. Um, if Chev's still watching, I'm really hoping there's some like fancy hula hoopers and stuff like that going at the bash. Hopefully not as much bashing at the bash as other bashes, I guess. Um, to keep it fun.
Do you know how much of the track we get to use?
How much of the track do we get to use?
Yeah.
My
I'm pretty
understanding
sure. Yeah.
will is that will probably be run the same way as all other events are being run there now, and it'll be
Okay.
starting on the front straight and then everything but the last corner onto the front straight. And I think the reason for not drifting the last corner onto the front straight is purely because you come around there a bit blind, and if more people are gridded up than expected, you run the risk of ploughing into cars, and the fact that people were allowed to pull off
All right.
the side and jump out of cars and stuff like that. So,
That's
um,
pretty. That's a safety thing not to
yeah.
do that.
And honestly, oh yeah, you don't play Assetto Corsa with us. The last sort of two or three corners get really really tight anyway, and then the last corner onto the straight opens up again. But yeah, it's not you're not missing out much by not doing it. And maybe on Sunday, once people have dropped out, and I know the red stage guys with cars running will be driving until basically the death of the event. Um, you'll probably be allowed to do a little bit more onto that corner, I would imagine. I think they get a little bit more relaxed as you know cars have broken and there's less cars on track. I don't think they're going to run it both directions like the last few events that have been run there have done. I think the plan is just to keep it running clockwise the whole time. But I think that's sort of the sort of faster layout. The other way adds some variety, but yeah, I think the other way is sort of the clockwise direction is just sort of the more open flowing faster direction, and then the last few corners coming up the hill, yeah, just get super tight anyway. So sort of tire waste the corners more than anything.
Okay.
Yeah, last year
Yeah.
they sort of gridded us up.
Especially. Yeah.
Yeah, last year they gridded us up. I think with uh, sort of in that slow section, and then we were allowed to drift onto the front straight, and then we're expected to sort of not go too crazy fast down the front straight. But now they've started gridding up on the front straight, and I think that also means you can, um, yeah, you can come off into the pits and all that. Jake, you don't need facts, mate, because you ain't coming. Uh, but yeah, super keen. I've got I took my center off for the figure eight event because I know driving sports gets a little bit anal about you having GoPros and stuff on your helmets, but I put this back on so I can talk to you boys while we try and run into each other. I'll make sure it's all charged up and yeah, I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, I hope my car doesn't break. I'm bringing the 180, and the 180 is like more fragile than the 32. The 32 is like a tank.
You'll be
We'll just
fine.
keep
You'll be fine.
plowing into people and the things.
You'll be
It'll be
fine.
fine.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. Eiji's feeling a bit deathly and we just talk shit for way longer than we always should. But this is more of a general chat, and we're probably going to talk about this off air anyway. But happy birthday to Eiji. What did you turn? 34?
Thank you.
33?
35.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
You're into supercar territory now, mate. You're not a Japanese sports car
Super.
anymore. Yeah, you're a R35. You're
Ah,
basically you're
yes.
basically a supercar now. You're not a sports car anymore. I don't know what you become after this. Then you're just fucking old.
No, then you turn to VW, I think, don't you? 36.
E36. Is that a BMW?
E36.
Is that a thing yet? I don't know. No, probably not.
It's a thing overseas, not here though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Jake, nicely pointed out that Rob broke the 32 last time. So,
Yeah, but it broke going onto the trailer from what I
oh, that's all right. I was already gone well and truly by then. I'm just hoping to get Port Macquarie more than a lap out of my own car. So,
heard.
uh, but yeah, happy birthday, Eiji. Thanks for doing this, even though you're a bit deathly. Um, next week I guess we'll try and do a show, but depending on how Eiji's going with making sure his T's are crossed and his I's are dotted with being ready to hit the road on Friday. We'll see how we go, but I think the plan is to still do it. Um, and yeah, I don't know anything major going on this weekend, but yeah, if
I'm just gonna be trying getting my car ready. So
um, yeah, maybe we'll try and actually get somebody for next week, but we'll see how we go. Uh,
mm.
and then maybe the week after, Chev suggested to us that um, I'm just gonna say that his name is Takahashi, or because it's like it's written, but it's not written as Takahashi. It's like Takshi or take. I
Just
don't
say two letters, then another two letters, then another three letters.
Takishi
Take. It
Takeshi.
is an air sound.
Oh, I don't fucking know how you do it in Japanese,
Well, E's always been an air sound in most languages, like in English, sorry, in most words.
but English is retarded. English doesn't
I
follow
know,
its own rules of English. That's why
I know.
us
That's
white people are stupid.
yeah.
Let's be real.
So Takeshi
Yeah, so we might try and
Teruya.
so we might see if we can get that guy uh, the week after the bash, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, we've got what's his name? Peter from Drift Cadet. He's keen as well.
Oh, he's actually finally keen.
Well, he promised me after Motor X. That's next
Oh,
week.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's watched in a few episodes because I haven't seen his name pop up. But
So we'll just
um,
we'll just talk shit about him.
I'll get back to hassling him then.
Yeah. And yeah, next week I don't know. Maybe we'll message some people and see what we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, all right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week or the week after or at some stage.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. This month again.
Yeah. It's the first of fucking May.
I know.
Um, Saturday's May the 4th be with you.
I know.
That's some nerdy shit. All right. Uh, all right. We'll catch you guys at some stage.
Okay. See you guys.